Gupta. The values that our parents instill in us are very important. When you look at a human being, when you look at their work, majority of it is brought within themselves by their parents, instilled by the parents. And I think that's the focus of today's interview. I've known Anjali since she was a little girl, and it's a great pleasure to interview her for Aaradhna today. Anjali, you're most welcome in our program.
Thank you very much, Shushma ji.
Now, you don't live in Vancouver anymore, but you were born and brought up in Vancouver?
Yes, I sure was.
And now you live in the States?
We've moved to the Bay Area near San Francisco in California.
Tell me, how is it? Is California different than Vancouver, or is it?
Yeah, it's different.
Is it? How different is it?
It's different. It was definitely quite a culture shock moving down there.
Really?
No, you wouldn't think so, but it is. But having been there for almost 3 years now, I've started to like it.
My God, it has been 3 years.
Almost 3 years.
Now, I want to come back to that cultural shock part, but later on, okay?
Sure.
Let's talk about you. When you were a little girl, growing up in Vancouver.
That was a long time ago.
No, it wasn't that long. How did you cope with the difference of being a South Asian youth or a young kid, growing up in a Canadian school, or going to Canadian school and growing up in Canada? Was it different for you or not at all, because you were born and brought up in Canada?
That's a good question. It's not. When I was teaching high school before I left Canada, I've noticed that there seems to be so many more Indians now than when I was growing up.
Right.
I think there was only 3 of us in my graduating class.
Really?
From high school. And I know in elementary school, I often did feel different. There's no denying that. I was one of the few South Asians in my class all the time. But I'm just trying to remember if, because I was so happy in my family life and friends' life, we had such a good social circle of Indian friends. I think at school I probably tried to blend in quite a bit.
Now, you had Indian friends, so mom and dad socialized with a lot of Indians, huh?
Yeah, lots of Indians.
And I also know that you very regularly went to temple as well as a little kid, because I've seen you there.
Yeah.
So how was that? Was that done? Mom and dad say we're going to go to temple every Sunday, and you would go, or did you ever question that?
Not the temple, because the temple was fun.
Yeah.
We never questioned going to the temple, I think, because it was, I think it was a routine. It was a nice routine. We had Hindi classes, which I'm so thankful for now.
Right.
And those were fun because they were usually taught by one of my uncles.
I see.
And all of the little kids would be in the class with us. And then we would have Aarti.
Yes.
And then we'd have lunch.
Right.
And it was like a big social gathering going
every
on.
Sunday.
Every Sunday.
Yeah.
I think it was fun for us, going to the temple.
So how long did you do that for? I mean, in your teens you went as well?
Yeah, but I think probably once we hit high school and we started having exams and dance classes and other activities, I think we started tapering off going to the temple every Sunday. Then we'd start going on New Year's Day and on Janmashtami, on special occasions, and not every Sunday. And then people started coming to the temple and giving really long talks.
Right.
And I think we kind of, we just stopped going every Sunday. My parents would go, but as Amy and I grew older, we didn't have to go every Sunday.
So it was after high school, would you say, that you
in the middle of high school?
Yeah, you consciously decided that, I guess we don't have time to go, or it's getting boring or whatever.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, although we really do like the Aarti part. I think that if that was happening regularly at the time that it was scheduled to be happening, I think that was a really fun time for us to do Aarti. But all of the things that go on before and then afterwards, it started to take too much of the day to go every Sunday.
As a family unit at home, you and your sister, mom and dad, do you sit down and talk about Hinduism, Hindu philosophy? Because it's hardly a religion, it's a way of life.
That's true.
Whatever we do in our day-to-day life reflects in our future or our past.
I don't know if we've ever sat down and really talked about it as a topic.
Right.
It's more just we might have questions about what's this, what's that, or if we have a katha,
right.
Why do we have to go? What are they going to talk about in the katha?
Right.
Or why is it the same katha every time? things we didn't understand. And on Diwali we would, because my dad would always tell stories on Diwali about Ram and Lakshman and Ganeshji. So those were fun. But I don't think, as kids anyways, I don't think we ever sat down and discussed religion. It was just, as you said, a way of life.
Right.
And we've never questioned the religion. It's such a comfortable religion that seems to accept so many things, and there's so many interesting stories in it.
Right.
It's really actually quite the way of life.
So what is so comforting about Hinduism? For example, when you said it's a very comforting religion, and I thought to myself, yes, I think I don't have to say, oh, I can't do this because it's not said in our religion. I mean, there are no taboos in the religion,
not as
right?
Many. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it is comforting. I think I like the mythology. I like the stories. I feel that there's just such a wide, wonderful variety of stories and deities. I personally always liked the Mirabai story.
Right.
And I always identified with her. I read that Amar Chitra Katha story when I was little, and it was just so amazing that there was this woman who lived who was so attached to this one God. And I actually, all my life, this is a person. He existed. He's real. And, it's funny. Some people go through phases of their life where they question their religion. And I haven't yet, even though some aspects of Hinduism that I learned in university, like caste and the fact that the priests knew everything and other people didn't, those bothered me a little bit.
Right.
But I've kind of just taken them out of my mind and focused on the areas I like.
Well, with time, I feel religion changes as well.
Yes, it does.
And Hinduism has been a type of religion that encompasses all the changes, and it grows with times. I'm
glad to hear you say that. I mean, I've often hoped that's the case, because I don't really like thinking about the caste system or some of the ancient beliefs.
What is your take on the caste system? Why do you think caste system?
I mean, I guess it was there in the past, because that's a really tough question. I'm not sure.
I sometimes wonder if people really, if they looked at caste system objectively and looked at it and say, why was caste system there? It is there because it was a society which needed farmers, needed merchants, needed teachers, needed people to protect the community.
Right, all ranks of life.
And all four of them were divided. Brahmins were the teachers, and Kshatriyas were the warriors, and Vaishyas were the merchants, and the Shudras were the ones who would help everyone would also do rest of the job which nobody else could do. So they were jack of all trades. And to give them a hierarchy position, that I think is where the caste system went wrong.
Yeah, I think so. At least, I don't know about 500 years ago. Things are so often taken in their context, aren't they? I mean, even the way women were 500 years ago as compared to today.
Exactly.
So you can't take things out of their historical context.
No, you can't. And do you think the position of a woman in Hindu religion, as you said, 5,000 years ago, is totally different from what it is today and what it will be in the next 5,000 years. Do you think we are going back to the original position, slowly and gradually?
I mean, they say all things go in a circle.
Yeah.
I think that Indians have changed a lot. I haven't been to India for quite some time.
Right.
But I feel that women are changing. I mean, women have careers, they have families, they seem to balance the two. It's not just here that's happening.
Right.
I see that with my cousins in India right now. So, things change, as you said, you're right. Hinduism is changing. And Hinduism just seems very accepting of different things.
Right.
It doesn't seem like there's things that you can't do, or you never hear someone say that I was brought up Hindu.
Yeah.
I've heard people in other religions say things like that, and I think it's because they don't like some of the things in their religion and they get turned off. I haven't reached that point yet where I feel turned off. I feel more drawn to it, as a matter of fact.
Well, I hope you never get turned off.
I don't think
you will. Let's talk about the changing life, your life. I mean, as a young person living in Vancouver and now married and with added responsibilities, are there any things in a family life that you did not like according to the Indian traditions? Now, traditions and religion and customs are totally different. Each family would have their own tradition. So the Atal family must have had traditions. We cannot do this and we can do this, right? Atal girls don't do this or whatever. Did you ever find that there were some things that you'd say, I wish I could do all that?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't think I was allowed to go to the mall when I was a teenager. I had to do a lot of things that at the time I didn't want to do. I remember we were taken to music classes and satsangs every Monday evening.
And you hated that.
And we didn't enjoy it at the time, even though now I kind of understand why we did it.
Why it was done,
and
yes.
they'd always get me donuts to get me to go to these satsangs and these music classes. And it was excruciating at the time, it really was, because I didn't understand it at all. And my mom would write all the thans of the music lessons in the book. Like, I still look at that book today and think, I can't believe she did this. And then we'd go to these satsangs where someone would speak, and I didn't understand all that, but it all had a reason.
Right.
And it's very strange to even try and explain it, because these are things I haven't thought about for a long time.
Really?
But I'm glad now, because now when someone says a verse out of the Gita, I've heard it before.
Yes.
In this satsang, and it kind of makes sense.
Yes.
And music, I mean, I love it now. I love my music, and if I wasn't taken to those music classes when I was little, then I wouldn't have that now. But as for traditions, like even the wedding tradition,
right.
I don't know about Atal's, or I think an Indian wedding is a
An
chaotic thing. And it was chaos. It was very
to put
tough.
it very mildly, right?
Yeah, it was just very difficult, but I enjoyed it so much when it was over.
Yes.
I enjoyed it when it was over. During the time of the wedding, it was just like, wow.
Now, did you understand all the aspects of the mantras that you were saying? Did you understand what you had, what you were promising?
Yeah.
Was it explained to you?
It was, and Panditji, Sharad Bhai, he's so wonderful. And
Yes.
he explained everything very nicely, because there were so many non-Indian guests at the wedding. So it's a beautiful ceremony.
It certainly
The
is.
ceremony itself is just, to me, my favorite part is the rock.
Right.
That you put your foot on this rock, and you want your marriage to be as strong as that rock.
Yes.
I think that's
exactly what it means.
is.
Yes, that we will both be as strong as the rock, and will stand by each other.
We'll
And
stand
then
by
you
each other.
and you take the 7 steps
Yes.
after that,
Right.
and you make those promises
As you go.
As you go. So
It's beautiful.
It is. It certainly
really
is. But it would be more beautiful if people would be able to understand it, right? When the young couple are getting married, if it all is explained to them, do you think it's all?
I think it is. I
it
mean,
is.
the last several weddings I've gone to,
Yes.
the priests have done a beautiful job of explaining it. I think that's part of this multicultural society we live in.
Right.
And even in California, I went to a wedding where there was a woman priest. It was my first time to see a woman priest.
Right.
She explained it so beautifully, and she even told the whole crowd to be quiet.
No
She said,
kidding.
this is a wedding.
Yeah.
It's something you have to listen to what this couple is doing right now. It's very important. So I love the ceremony.
Right.
I think that there's too much emphasis on food and just
And the clothes.
clothes, and
Yes.
it's kind of like a show. But it's beautiful and it's fun, and people seem to love it. And afterwards you feel quite good, like I had a good time, and I danced, and everyone was dressed up, and everyone had a great time.
Indian customs, and I feel as time goes on, things do get distorted a little bit. Little spins are put on certain customs, and they have a different meaning for different people. But all in all, Indian customs are there to have people mingle with each other
Yes.
and meet one another.
Yeah, and food is one
yeah.
of those customs, isn't
Yes.
it? I'm starting to realize that now, that
Yeah.
food is something that brings everyone together.
Now, the way your mom and dad have brought up, and you very candidly talked about things that you've liked and things that you haven't liked, and looking back at them, you're happy that you did them. When you have your children, would you do anything different? The question is that I know that the things that you like, you will instill in your children. But would you do it differently from your parents? Something that they haven't done that you would like to do, improve on it?
I'm really amazed with the way my parents have brought us up. I can't believe it. I mean, I've married someone who is from India, and he told me a few times that he feels like I know a lot more about India than some girls that might be living in India.
Right.
And I think that's because the parents here are amazing in the way they bring the traditions here and teach you the language and teach you the music, the dance. I hope I can do it as well as my parents have done it. That's my hope. And I don't know if I can, but that's my sincere hope. I don't think I would do a lot differently. I wouldn't do the satsangs on Monday evenings. There's no way. Even now, my old bedroom at my house is filled with all these religious books, and I told my parents, I cannot sleep in this room.
You got to remove them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Anjali, I think parents are someone that you can rely on all the time in your life and can never thank enough. And I think I sometimes feel that one thing that we have as South Asians have lost in this country is the respect for our parents. And I think there are very few families that really give the due respect to the parents because they work very hard. They try to juggle their job, their customs, their religion, their children, so that they can give the best to their children. And I think that, immigrant parents have worked really hard.
They really have. And I guess I'm an immigrant now in a way because I'm living in the United States for the next little while anyway. But it's not quite the same thing because, having been brought up in North America, I mean, I think it's just amazing what immigrant parents have done. And I do see, though, the younger generation really, the friends I know, they do seem to really respect or have started to appreciate now what their parents have done for them because they're having children.
Right.
And they're starting to realize, wow, if we love all these things and we have this support, it's because of our parents.
And don't you think Indians living outside of India are more Indian than Indians living in India?
I've heard that said so many times.
And you've heard it from your husband as well?
Yeah, he's, and even his family, when they came to the wedding, they were like, this is wild. This is like, an Indian movie. Everyone's dancing and singing, and it seems more so than they would see in India, that they saw that here. So I was kind of happy about that, because I would hate for them to feel that we didn't try at all, or that there was no familiarity for them.
Right. Where is Anjali going now?
Where am I going?
Yeah.
In what sense?
In life.
In life?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've thought about becoming a parent, and I've put that off for a nice long time. We've been enjoying traveling, and I've changed fields, and I'm kind of enjoying the life in California now.
That's very nice. I think it's time for you to give a present to mom and dad to become grandparents, so that they would follow the next step in our
stages, right?
Cultural stage, right? And our religious stage. They've done their youth, they've done the grihast, which is raising a family. Now they have to do the vanprasth, looking after the grandchildren.
Oh, is that actually
It actually is. One of the third stages, and the fourth one is they look after the entire community.
So that's why everyone keeps asking you.
Yes. That's right.
I've always wondered.
It has always been a pleasure to talk to you.
And you too.
And next time when you come, would love to talk to you again. I haven't talked about anything, and yet we've talked about so many things. And I wanted to do a few more sessions in which we could talk about the stories that you've heard from mom and dad, the religious stories.
Those,
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shushma ji.